it is Kate here. Thank you so much for jumping into a class with me and clicking on my channel. I have got an extreme beginners Pilates class for us today. Now, I know it can be a little intimidating, even overwhelming. The first couple of times you try and take a Pilates class, even one that's called a beginner class, there are so many things that are happening. The instructor, myself included, is usually asking you to do a whole host of thinking while you're moving. And kind of putting in some of that coordination with our mind can be challenging some days. So rather than just throw everything at you, I'm going to start giving us smaller classes that just focus on one or two principles. So when you go to take a class either online or in person, you have a little bit more knowledge, a few more tools in your tool belt that you are ready to pull from. So for today's class, we are going to focus on two things. That's pelvic stability and core engagement. They go very much hand in hand. And they can be used not only in Pilates classes, but once you understand how to keep your pelvis stabilized and to keep your muscles engaged the entire time, these two principles are really going to translate and help in any other type of physical activity that you happen to be doing. So let's go ahead and jump up on our mat and we'll start standing. Okay, now that we are upright on our mat, I want us to, again, focus on our pelvic stability and our core engagement. Now, the first thing I like to do when we do talk about pelvic stability is bring our hands to our hips. I want you to stand about hip distance apart and put a bend in your knees and give yourself a little wiggle, a little shake. Stand up tall and straight just for a moment. I want you to think of pressing down into the floor with both feet and almost imagine your feet are little suction cups. You're kind of lifting up through those inner arches just so we can turn on those muscles a little bit more. You're pressing down, you're toning your inner thighs towards one another, and we're slowly traveling up our body, now thinking about our pelvis. So bring those hands to your hips. And maybe you've got a mirror nearby that you can really see, but oftentimes we tend to stand to one side and those hips go over. They're no longer in alignment with one another. We want them in one long line side to side. Another way to think about this is thinking about your torso as kind of a rectangle. Between your shoulders and your hips, it's like there's a rectangle through your body, and at any time we want that rectangle to have 4 right angles. We don't want to move ourselves over to one side and kind of let that go away. So instead, think about your hips and your shoulders as the points of those little rectangles. Now, as you continue to focus on the body going up, think about that middle of the body. We never want to suck our gut in. I don't like to use that word. I don't like to really talk about squeezing or sucking, but instead engaging. Something that is helpful for me to think about is imagining I've got a little belt around the center of my stomach and it is just ever so lightly cinching in. I am ever so lightly pulling everything in. A lot of instructors will talk about the belly button, myself included. One way that people like to think about this is pulling the belly button back towards the spine. Again, I'm not pulling everything in, I'm not sucking in and squeezing. Instead, it's kind of this feeling as if a little fish hook was attached to your belly button and it pulled and kind of scooped all of those muscles up and in. It's a whole lot of ways just to say we want to turn on the middle of our body. No matter what happens in a Pilates class, you should always feel engaged right here. So even though it looks like I am just standing, like I'm not doing anything whatsoever, all of my muscles are turned on now. I am actively keeping myself upright. And I don't know about you, but the minute that I really start to focus on those muscles through the middle of my body and my pelvis being stabilized, especially with my shoulders, that posture immediately begins to kind of perk up. I feel like I'm already standing taller and straighter. Let's keep thinking about our body moving up. So we've kind of cinched that waist like we talked about, and now start to stand taller and straighter. It's almost like someone grabbed your ears and is pulling them up so we can lengthen through our whole entire body. Take a great big inhale. Big deep breath out. Another big inhale. As you exhale, cinch the waist a little more. One more time here. Now, as you exhale, drop your chin to your chest, bend your knees, and start to roll yourself down, letting your fingertips be nice and heavy, letting your head reach for the floor. Only go so far down is what feels good, and then slowly start to roll yourself all the way back up to standing. Let's do that 2 more times, just getting a little mobility in our body. Chin to chest, bend the knees, let your fingertips drip down, 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 down. Take a full big inhale, and then exhale, slowly roll yourself all the way back up. 1 more time, just like that. And again, it's not about going as far as I am. It's moving mindfully in your body, doing what feels good. Let's finally roll ourselves up and come on back to standing. And once more, bring your hands to your hips. Now notice, just from that little bit of movement, did anything shift in your body? Have you forgotten about that feeling of toning, of cinching? Hopefully not. We should stand up tall and straight every single time and feel all of those muscles activate, all of those muscles turn on. Now from here, hands come to your hips, and I want you to put a tiny little bend in your knees. And then straighten. Again, just tiny little bend in your knees. And then straighten. And notice as we bend and straighten the knees just a little bit, is anything shifting? Is anything moving at all? It's not a right or wrong answer, but simply noticing what's happening in your body. Now this next time, bend your knees and stay. Zip up through the front of the body. Tone that stomach. Cinch the waist, just like we've been talking about. From here, shift your weight into your right foot. Did one hip lift? Did one hip lower? Hopefully not. We still want them in line with one another. Now, I simply want you to start to stand tall on that right leg, picking up the left. Now, if I'm not being mindful, if I'm not paying attention to my hips, to my stomach, to my shoulders, when I go to pick up that leg, I'm just going to hike up my hip and use not my tummy muscles to bring myself up, but just not really thinking about anything. Instead, again, it's a mindful approach. It's being very particular in how we're moving. So when we bend and shift, think of stamping down through your foot. Take a big inhale, and now exhale, lift your leg and stand tall. Hands on our hips, make sure they're staying nice and even with one another. Did one hip lift? Hopefully not. Bring it back down. Almost think of making space from the top of your hip to your bottommost rib. Take a big inhale. Set that foot down, rock to the other side, and stand tall on your opposite foot. We're just gonna rock side to side, picking up one foot, setting the other one down, and as much as possible, trying to keep our hips and shoulders even with one another, trying to keep that rectangle at a nice little 90-degree angle at each little point. And now let's face it, we are humans. You're never going to be completely perfect. I'm probably lifting up one hip a little bit higher than the other as I sway side to side, but I'm doing my best to tone that stomach. I'm doing my best to easily lift and lower one leg without letting myself kind of hula dance and sway side to side. Let's even ourselves out. Go ahead, set that foot on the floor, and again, give yourself a little wiggle. Now I want you to go ahead and kind of tip the pelvis back and forth a little bit. Give a little sway side to side, and we're going to lie down on the floor from here and talk about keeping our body nice and engaged, nice and elongated while we lay down. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a seat on our mat and lie ourselves all the way back down. And just like we were before, I want your hands to be on your hips so we can keep thinking about what's going on in our body. Now, we are going to be in an imprinted spine, which there'll be another video all about that in a later one. But right now, I want you to think about the back of your body. Now, we all naturally have a little sway there. I want you to eliminate that sway. I want you to press the small of your back down into the mat. Now, still, again, even though we're lying down, think about those places that connect your shoulders and your hips and those little 90-degree angles that we always want to keep there. Pull your belly button up and in. Before we do anything, just like we did standing on our mat, press down into your feet. Think of suction cupping the feet again, toning your inner thighs towards one another. We don't want to knock the knees together, but it's like there's an imaginary ball there and you're giving it a gentle squeeze. Find that feeling of toning the stomach in, that light cinch of your waist. Now, from here, hands can either stay on our hips, or we could bring them down to our sides, either right by our hips or off in a small V. No matter where they are though, I want you to press down into the mat with the back of your body, the back of your hands. It's almost like you're trying to reach those hands straight behind you. Pull your belly button up and in. Do you feel the small of your back pressing into the mat? I hope so. We want to keep that feeling the entire time. Take a great big inhale. As you exhale, I simply want you to lift your right leg up, just like we did standing up. Now, even though we are on our mat, and it's maybe hard to think about it this way, but we still got that triangle going on, so I hope your hip did not lift up at all. We want to keep everything in the same spot that it started and set that foot down. Take another great big inhale. Exhale, lift the opposite leg up. Just like we did standing tall on our mat, we're just going to walk our legs side to side. Now, ideally, as we lift and lower each leg, nothing should be moving in our body except for that leg. That means that as I lift and lower, I'm not letting my shoulders, my low back come up and away. I'm simply using my big exhale and using the strength of my abdominal muscles to lift a leg and to gently set it down. Exhale, lift. Inhale, lower. Exhale, lift. Inhale, lower. Exhale, lift. Inhale, lower. 2 more sets, side to side. Now, something that I find helpful is the more I press down into the back of my body and stabilize using both of my arms and my abdominal muscles, the easier it is for me to keep that action, that movement completely in my leg. Now, the next time we go to lift our right leg up, I want you to keep it there. Just bring that right leg up and hold it. Now, some teachers will be very particular about this. I am not. You can point, flex, or keep the foot soft. Really, whatever works best for you right now is perfectly fine. Before we do anything, press deep into your left foot. Think of toning that stomach. Think of cinching the waist, and then still keeping your shoulders and hips in line. 5 times I want you to inhale, straighten your leg, reach it out and away. Exhale, pull it in. Inhale, stretch, reach it out and away. Exhale, pull it in. Let's do 3 more. Extend, reach out, pull it right back. 2 more, reach it out and away. Bring it right back in. Last one, reach it out and away and stay. Now from here, keep stamping down into your left foot. Cinch the waist a little bit more. Have we forgotten about any of those tummy muscles? Everything should be turned on. It's that same scoop of that low belly. Now from here, take a great big inhale and drop your leg a little bit down, about halfway between your ankle and your knee. Exhale, lift it back up to that starting spot. Inhale, lower your foot down to that halfway spot. Exhale, lift it up. So this is slow and steady. It's not about going so fast. It's not about doing millions of reps. And know that you can always do a few more or a few less than maybe what I happen to be doing. It's not about meeting me for movement to movement. Again, it's feeling strong, secure, and ultimately being mindful in your body as you move. Last one, inhale, drop that foot down to that halfway spot. Exhale, lift it up. Take a great big inhale. Pull the leg in and set it down. Give yourself a moment here. Have you relaxed the muscles in your tummy at all? I hope not. That is not what we should be doing throughout our Pilates class whatsoever. At all times, even while I'm sitting here talking, explaining to you, I want you to keep pressing down into your feet, cinching the waist, elongating through your spine. Press deeper into your right foot. Take a big inhale. Exhale, lift the left. Now again, point, flex, soft, whatever. Maybe try something different to see what changes. But from here, inhale, straighten the leg, reach your toe away. Exhale, pull it in. Inhale, straighten, reach it away. Exhale, pull it in. 2 more, send it out and away. Exhale, pull it in. Last one, reach it out and stay. Now, once more, before we do anything, stamp down into the foot on the floor. Cinch the waist, tone the stomach. Inhale, drop the leg to that halfway spot between ankle and knee. Exhale, bring it right back up to starting. Inhale, drop it down. Exhale, lift it up. Inhale, lower. Exhale, lift. Inhale, lower. Exhale, lift. A few more times. And now, even though we are still always focusing on those abdominal muscles, keeping everything nice and engaged, also think about reaching your foot further and further away. It's like I'm pulling your ankle out and away. Let's do 2 more, or until you feel even from our other side. And then last one. Bring that foot up, take a breath, pull it in, and set your foot on the floor. Give yourself a little movement, a little wiggle between sides, and walk your feet a little bit closer in towards your sitting bones. Now, something that might be different if you are more of a yogi, sometimes you'll be in class and a teacher may tell you you should touch your fingertips to your heels. That has everything to do with your own bodily proportions. Not everyone can do that in a safe way. In fact, I can't. That does not work in my body whatsoever. I can touch, but it puts a lot of pressure on my knees because I knock in when I do that. So instead, I simply want you to think about pressing down into the feet and having your heels in line with your sitting bones. Let's take our hands right back down by our side, palms into the floor, and open those shoulders side to side. We've still got that 90-degree angle here. Find that lovely elongation through your spine. Tone the stomach. Press down into the feet so much that when you inhale, we're going to slowly lift our pelvis, lift our hips up into a gentle little bridge. Now take a moment here and go ahead and bring your hands to your hips. You can kind of even look down, but that might feel a little bit awkward. Usually anytime we are in a bridge pose though, I am going to make sure your nose points straight up to the sky, both so we can keep space between chin and chest, and so we can protect that neck that is so incredibly precious to us. But if you can, just for a moment, look at your hips. Is one kind of sagging down? Press deeper into that foot and then lift. We can tone the back of our body a little bit more here too. Take a great big inhale. Exhale, roll yourself right back down. Let's lift and lower a handful of times, and I want you to keep your hands on your hips the whole time we do this so we can really feel if anything is changing from one side to the other. If one side is lifting or lowering a little bit faster. And again, we're human. You're never going to be completely perfect, so don't worry, don't fret if one side does feel a little bit more weak. That simply means we just need to pay attention to that side a little bit more, and that is perfectly fine. Let's go ahead and lift and lower just a few more times. Slow and steady wins the race, my friends. It is not about powering through every single activity, every single exercise I'm doing. Just feel good in your own body. Let's do 2 more, lifting and lowering, slow and steady. And then bring ourselves all the way back down. Now from here, once more, find that feeling of pressing the small of your back into the mat, turning on our abdominal muscles, cinching the waist, and from here I want you to extend your right leg nice and long. Your left leg should stay completely in place. Hands can either be on the hips or down to the side, whatever feels better, but I do actually want us to actively flex the foot this time. Tone that stomach. Press down into your foot on the floor, pull your belly button in, take a great big inhale. Exhale, lift your foot all the way up to that little spot where our thighs kind of meet. Inhale, drop your foot right back down. Exhale, lift it up. Inhale, lower. Now we've got a bigger range of motion, which means we might notice the small of our back pull away from the mat. And if so, just make your motion a little bit smaller. Maybe stop at that halfway spot instead of letting your foot come all the way down. It is about doing what works for you and your body and not about looking exactly like me. But every time you exhale, tone the stomach, cinch the waist, lift the foot. Inhale, lower. Exhale, lift. Inhale, lower. Exhale, lift. Last one, inhale, lower. Exhale, lift and stay. Seal your inner thighs together and point your toe. Have you lost any engagement here? Could you cinch that waist a little bit more? Could you press the small of your back deeper into the mat? Take one more big inhale. Exhale, bend the knee, set it down, and let's do the exact same thing to the other side. Extend that leg long. Has anything moved in your body? Have you forgotten about that rectangle we're talking about? No hurry, no rush, but flex your foot, turn on your abdominal muscles, take a great big inhale. Exhale, press into your right foot and lift your left. Inhale, set it down. Exhale, lift it up. Inhale, lower down. Exhale, lift it up. Remember, both sides can be so different. We have imbalances in the body, and that's part of Pilates, noticing those imbalances and seeing what we can do to eliminate them. Almost imagine that every time you exhale, all of the air in your body, all of the air in your body is trying to escape, and you are turning on those muscles to get it all out. Inhale down, exhale, lift it up. Last one, inhale down, exhale, lift and stay. Point the toe, reach that foot away, turn on all the muscles, not only in your tummy, but your leg too. Take a great big inhale. Pull the leg in, set it down. Beautiful. Bring your knees into your chest. Maybe take a little windshield wiper side to side. Let's open our hands out to a T. Take our legs to a little tabletop. And let's take a twist. You can just drop the knees down to one side. Now your nose can stay pointed straight up to the sky, or you could look to your opposite hand if you want to deepen that twist. Take a great big full inhale. Exhale, pull yourself back to center. And same thing to the other side. And find that nice little twist right here. Big full inhale, exhale back to center. Bring your knees to your chest and give yourself a little rock and roll all the way up to a seat. Now, before we go anywhere, I want you to give yourself a great big pat on the back and thank yourself for doing something just for you. I certainly hope that you learned something and that Pilates is a little less mysterious. Go ahead, give me a like, subscribe to the channel for more beginner Pilates classes, and feel free to leave me a comment if you have any questions whatsoever. I am always happy to answer them. Have a wonderful and truly joyful day.